navigate through the discomfort of change, the discomfort of growth, and find the joy of relief that exists on the other side, the liberation of becoming more than you ever thought possible. All we have to do is accept that feeling uncomfortable is a part of the growth experience. We know that that's the case when we go to a gym. We know that that's the case when we start to do something physically for the first time, but no one's ever told us that that's a part of the process when we start to grow on the inside, spiritually, mentally, emotionally. All of us have dreams and desires, but most of us don't know how to communicate those to the world. We don't really know how to communicate them to ourselves. So we try once, or twice, or 3 times, and then we give up because we feel frustrated. But the frustration is an indication that we've reached some kind of limit. We've reached the edge of our comfort zones. We've reached the beginning of something new, but we have to persist until such point that our practice allows us to become something different. And if we don't persist, then all we can really do is slip back into the habits that we're so well accustomed to. And it's a bit like wearing an old pair of shoes. They're really comfy. They might be falling apart. They might be leaking when it's raining and you get wet feet. But they're familiar. And so you go back to them over and over again. You got these new ones over here, which are going to last. Yes, they need a bit of wearing in and they may be a bit uncomfortable at the beginning. But that's how we approach change. We stick to what we know because what we know gives us guaranteed results, even if the results don't feel that good, even if the results is suffering, even if the result is pain or hardship. How does that make sense? It doesn't make sense. I understand that. I've been through that process so many times, and every single time I ask myself that question, why am I doing this? Well, I'm doing this because it's familiar. I'm doing this because there is some level of comfort from knowing if I take a particular set of actions, I will get a guaranteed set of results, even though those results suck or don't feel so good. And I've had to break my own patterns most of the time in isolation because I haven't had people around me that know any better. And I don't want you to be that person. I don't want you to have to go through that process because it's not great. When you have a breakthrough, yeah, it feels good. But the rest of the time, when you're walking around in life and you feel stuck or lost or trapped, you feel like no one understands you, you feel like whenever you try and talk about the things that you're struggling with, people just want to offer you their opinion, or they want to give you a label and tell you that you're dysfunctional, well, then it would make sense that you don't really engage in that. You don't look any further. And maybe you write these things down in a journal or you explore them from time to time, but they don't really change anything because all you really know is what you're working with, what's going on inside. But it doesn't occur to you that there's a way to change that there's a way through. All of us can find a way through. All of us can find ways of making life easier for ourselves. We just have to dare to look. And we have to carry the awareness into those moments where change starts to happen, that it's going to feel uncomfortable, that it might suck for a while, but the suckiness is not an indication that we are failing, it's an indication that we are growing. Right? And this is the key thing. I need to remind myself of this almost constantly. Certainly as I step out into the world and start to do new things that I've never done before, it feels really unpleasant. I don't like it. But that doesn't mean it doesn't have value, because it's teaching me the value of persistence. It's teaching me to become something more than what I gave myself permission to be in the previous moment, or in the previous day, or in the previous year. And I'm inviting you to take the first step, because I know you can be more. I know everybody has the capacity to be more, and that's not because you aren't enough. It's not because there's something wrong with you. It's not because you need a better way to manage the dysfunction of your life. It's just simply because there is always more available. There is always more available. You just have to dare to seek it. Dare to seek it. Dare to power through or push through or navigate through the discomfort of change, the discomfort of growth, and find the joy of relief that exists on the other side. The liberation of becoming more than you ever thought possible. So many of us don't dare to try because we don't want to feel uncomfortable. And how much of our modern life is geared around avoiding discomfort at any costs? Look at how much we have access to, and look at how much we suffer. Something is wrong. Something needs to change. And that change has to start with us. It has to start with us acknowledging that we are not lacking in resources. It's not that we don't have enough, although it certainly seems that way. It's simply that we don't like feeling uncomfortable because society has told us that when we feel uncomfortable, there's something wrong. And oh, by the way, we have this product which can fix you. It can make things better. It can solve all of your problems. But it doesn't work that way. You know it doesn't work that way. And you may not want to accept it. I know it doesn't feel nice. I acknowledge that. Like I say, I'm human too. I've been through that process. But the thing is, once you understand that nothing outside of you can make you feel better, not permanently, not for a long period of time, then you start to look in other directions. And what's the other direction? Well, it's in here. Who can help us? People that have spent more time in here. There's no structure or map that can take you inside. It's an organic process. Only people that accept that you have to go beyond the mind to understand the mind can find anything meaningful in life. Because this is a program. What exists in here is a program. What exists in here is simply just a set of patterns that play on repeat unconsciously, allowing us to make decisions without having to think. And that's great. Don't get me wrong, that's really helpful. But most of those decisions were made for us by the people that we spent time around when we were growing up. And most of those people don't know that we are infinite. Most of those people don't know that we are destined for more. And so they impart their beliefs and worldviews in a well-meaning way. But they're imparted nevertheless. And we have the opportunity to transcend them. All we have to do is accept that feeling uncomfortable is a part of the growth experience. We know that that's the case when we go to a gym. We know that that's the case when we start to do something physically for the first time. But no one's ever told us that that's a part of the process when we start to grow on the inside, spiritually, mentally, emotionally. Personal training exists on the inner world as much as it does on the outer world. You know, my job is to help you navigate the inner world of change, to acknowledge and accept and move beyond the discomfort into the space where growth really happens, so that you can become whatever it is that you want to become and move away from all of the things that are weighing you down and causing you to live a life that, frankly, probably sucks for you right now. Like, it doesn't sound very nice, but I've lived in that place for long enough to know that that's how it feels. Why do we need to sugarcoat it? So how much longer are you going to spend in that place that you don't like, that doesn't fulfill you, that doesn't make you happy? How long do things need to be that way? How much more time do you need to spend there before you finally say, I've had enough? And maybe you realize you're moving in that direction. What happens if you make that change now, rather than waiting another month, 6 months, 2 years, 5 years, 10 years? Like, how much pain do you need to endure before you decide it's time to change? And when you do make that decision, allow me to support you on that journey. Allow me to help you embark upon that process and show you that it's not as hard as it seems, that it's not as complicated as it seems, that you are free to read the books and go on the courses, but ultimately you have to do your own work. That's what counts. There is no substitute for you doing your own work on yourself. I am simply here as a guide. I cannot take you anywhere that you are not willing to go, and nor is it my place to push you there, simply just to show you that that's an opportunity that you have and always will have. That's empowerment. We don't live in a society that gives us empowerment. We live in a society that limits us, that gives us labels, that wants us to fit into boxes, because that's predictable, it's stable, but it's also dysfunctional. No system can last forever. Everything has to go through the cycle of destruction and rebirth, and you are no different. Allow yourself to go through the process of change. Allow yourself to be guided. Allow yourself to be supported. Recognize that growth is your birthright, and that discomfort is not a sign of failure. Discomfort is an invitation to move forwards. I need to hear that as much as anybody else. If you want to take that step, give me a shout. I'm here for you.